Yes, these are my cool aspect glasses. So welcome to another episode of Aspects. What is that I smell? Whoa! 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 Shit! Let's not do that again. Okay? Or I'm gonna need a firefighting crew next to me next time. So anyway, today we are going to be doing our video on Venus aspect. And what does Venus aspect mean in Vedic astrology and astrology itself? What it is, what does it do? That's what we're going to discuss here. And as always, if you do not know, where your Venus is placed, so which house it might aspect, what sign it's in, what nakshatra it's in, all the other planetary alignments, for that, check out the links here. And check out the full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects at the Speed of Light. And especially in your report, on the second page bottom, you'll see exactly where Venus is placed. And Venus, especially when it comes to aspect, in my book, Aspects, I discussed that aspect, again, is just like conjunction. It's not something just so simple that you just learn and you know. There are certain things you have to kind of see what's happening, and that's how the aspect will be reacting and working. Because aspect simply doesn't mean that you're influencing a certain house, because you could be influencing a certain planet. Like if I'm Venus, I could be influencing a certain planet. So let's say if I'm influencing Saturn, Venus is looking at Saturn in a mutual aspect. Okay, and I'm going to explain that too. Because it only aspects 7th place from itself. Venus always will aspect 7th place from itself, meaning directly opposite. So if it's aspecting Saturn, and you run through the time period of Saturn, which is known as Mahadhashas, or Antradhashas, or Paryantardhashas. In Vedic astrology, these are time cycles that show us a different event happening. You might get married into the time period of Saturn. And then you're wondering, well, Saturn is not a significator of relationship, marriage. It doesn't control any of my 7th house or 1st house, or in my Namansha chart, doesn't do anything. Why did I get married? Well, that's probably because Venus was looking at Saturn. And Venus is what? Significator of marriage and spouse. So its influence kind of threw this impact upon Saturn to be like, oh, okay, I guess I'm supposed to be bringing marriage to this person. Whatever you say, Venus. That's how it works. Now, what does the meaning means of Venus? Well, first of all, what is Venus? Venus in astrology represents our ability to love other people. It is our ability to form relationships, to form compassionate relationships, being diplomatic, loving partnerships. When we enjoy partnerships, that's our Venus, saying you should enjoy partnerships. Venus represents spouse in general. Venus represents a girlfriend and a wife in a man's chart. Venus represents luxurious life. It's a significator of wealth. Okay. Venus also represents cash money millionaire. Like liquid money, cash money that you have, like coins and dollars. That's what Venus is. So currency trading is seen from Venus as well. Venus represents arts, music, beauty, creativity, fashion, all the exterior beauty that are represented in this world are seen from Venus. And then the internal beauty, which is our ability to form relationships. That's what Venus is. So anywhere Venus aspects, what Venus does, we are curious to create a relationship with that house. We're curious to have a partnership with that house. We are very creative, approaching that house very creatively. Not with like some cold shoulder or cold attitude. We're very passionate about that place. Like, I'll give you an example. Venus, let's say it's in your 3rd house of your horoscope. Shows beautiful relationship with your siblings, close neighbors, cousins, friends. Great enthusiasm perhaps towards, like you have your skill set, because 3rd house is skill set. Your skill set could be sewing, could be doing creative things, artistic things. creative writing, creative communication. But Venus then aspects the 9th house directly opposite from itself. What it's doing is that you feel that your creativity will enhance if you somehow create relationships with people that are of a different culture. People who have a broadened horizon. People who are very philosophical, of a different ethnic group, ethnic background, different indigenous groups. So this Venus, what happens is very curious about traveling. They're very curious about meeting different people of different cultures. They're the people who do not mind dating somebody outside their culture. So if like I'm a Hindu girl, I do not mind dating an African American guy because I'm curious to know what is this all about. That's what Venus does. You are simply opening up your, heart to that other house. You are passionate about philosophy. You're passionate about just wanting to understand higher education so you can broaden your horizon and perhaps bring that into your skill set. So if Venus is in Gemini, your skill set could become passionate about languages, passionate about information. Writing, let's say you want to write a romantic novel with Venus in the 3rd house. Because Venus aspects is on the 9th house, your theme of your novel will be always something to do with interracial relationships, something to do with spirituality, higher learning, traveling, pilgrimage. So that's what Venus does. And Venus actually becomes important, especially when we kind of like look at your passions in life. Venus and 5th house are 2 elements that show our passion. What we should feel attracted towards. What may have us wake up in the morning every morning and feel good about what we're doing in life. That's what Venus is also. Venus is just this passionate energy within us. And if you have Venus in the 3rd house, and let's say you are a trader, you are a stock market trader, you will probably be attracted towards trading foreign currencies. You're always going to be passionate about wanting to learn about foreign currencies, foreign markets. Because that your passion of Venus is aspecting the 9th house. Remember that. Venus is in the 5th house. Venus in the 5th house shows one is an extremely creative person. Somebody who loves performing art. Somebody's passion not only becomes art and cinema, but also wanting to learn about ancient texts. 5th house is a house of the ancient language and ancient texts. Whether it's, the Kabbalah, Bhagavad Gita, to the Bible, to Vedas, that's what 5th house is. So here, a person naturally is just always attracted to these things. Whether they're lawyers, whether they're doctors, whether they're IT people, doesn't matter. They're always going to be passionate about these things. So what is now Venus doing? Venus aspects the 11th house of your network circles, gains, hopes and wishes, investments. And what Venus does, it tries to create a network circle so it can enhance its 5th house more. It is so passionate about the 5th house, it wants to create relationship with people. So anytime this person will go towards forming a relationship, and I'm talking about a romantic relationship, they're going to want somebody either from an entertainment side or somebody from a side where they're interested in occult study. Not occult, I would say ancient studies. Wanting to understand ancient scriptures. Now, occult and astrology kind of become one. 5th house is seen as a house of astrology as well. It's ancient, understanding of texts. So you will always see this person just wanting to expand their network circle in this areas. Either they'll be friends with actors and musicians, artists, or they'll be friends with people who just love to learn about the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedas and wanting to understand the ancient history. They're all into that. So that passion will always be there throughout life. So this is how you approach this study of aspect with Venus. You always, whoever has Venus in whatever house, you're simply going to be curious about it. You're going to want to form relationship in that house, and you're going to be curious about and passionate about attaining qualities of that house. This is why Venus is an ascendant. A person is always eagerly wanting to having relationships in life. They cannot live without partnerships and relationships. It's kind of like part of their identity because Venus is looking at the 7th house. Now, of course, there's certain yogas where Venus may bring passion towards simply loving everybody. Like, let's say, exalted Venus in the ascendant of Pisces. And I actually saw this 3 days ago of somebody who had this, and they weren't really interested in marriage. They're simply interested in being a philanthropist. Philanthropy is about helping the world, doing something for the world. So Venus in the sign of Pisces becomes higher consciousness of Venus, the spiritual consciousness of Venus, which is to expand its love to everybody, not just one person. So when it looks at the 7th house of other people and masses, it's going to bring that passion towards the masses. That's what it is. Okay? So guys, this is my analysis of Venus aspect. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And again, if you want to know where your Venus is placed, all your other planetary placements, my books, reports, consultations, for that, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you on Friday, actually. I'm going to have an interview with Juan Paul Manley on the major transits of Jupiter and Saturn, the dual transit phenomenon. I'm going to have a class at 1 o'clock with him. And then I think Saturday I will upload my video of the conjunction of Sun, Moon, and Rahu. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.